Are you ready to know what you don't know about social media? Well, then you're in the right place. This is the Seb Rust Show on Social Buzz on Air. Social Media Radio. Bringing you tips, tricks, tools, and extreme value. Broadcasting from our studio in Miami. And now, here's your host, Sebastian Rust.
What is happening, party people? Hey, welcome back to the show. Always appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to me rap about a couple two tree things. This week, my guest is Jeff J. Hunter. Jeff kind of stumbled upon the world of outsourcing and the world of virtual assistants and how he could literally leverage that for not only his own business, but quickly found that a lot of people would ask him, hey, how do I get a virtual assistant? How do I outsource my business? He continued to get these questions and in turn, over the past 3 years, has been able to build a team of over 50 team members that help outsource not only his needs, but the needs of all of his clients that need virtual assistants, outsourcing, etc. So friends, if you could, please put your hands together and give a very warm buzz welcome to Mr. Jeff J. Hunter. Jeff J. Hunter, what's good, my man?
I'm so happy to be here, Sebastian.
Great to have you here. We were just discussing how in the heck you and I connected, and it wasn't through Digital Marketers Traffic and Conversions, although we could have met at a bar or an after party or a reception of some sort over various years. I believe we were connected because I had asked a question about the world of outsourcing and virtual assistants, and someone said, Jeff J. Hunter is the man. I tagged you. We connected. I've been commenting on your stuff. You've been commenting on my stuff. And we finally decided to say, hey, let's have a conversation and get you on the podcast. So great to have you here, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, it's so funny because I've definitely shut down a few TNC after parties.
Yeah. Okay. So that's, it could have been, but those usually end in somewhat of a mild blur. So I could potentially be that. However, the after parties I was never a part of unless it was the very last evening, which was a non-sponsored, non-affiliated official after party that Dave Albano throws every year.
Smart. That's
about the only one I'm there. Otherwise, I've got a curfew by 10 p.m. because the stage doesn't give a shit about my hangover.
Amen.
So how'd this all start? Everybody's got a story. You've obviously got one that's led you into the world of outsourcing. You've got a team of 50 plus of your own that are outsourced. Let's talk about, let's back up. And this hasn't been a long time. You got into this world, what, 5 years ago?
Less, yeah.
Wow. All right. So let's back up. I'll let you talk now.
Well, plain and simple, I really hated doing lots of different things at my job. I was a corporate, I worked at a Fortune 500 corporation. I was a project manager. Long story short, I got tired of doing tons of stuff in my job, decided, hey, I wonder if I could hire someone to do this stuff. Found out that I could. Started outsourcing portions of my job, became a top 5 project manager in the company. Then they said, wow, dude, how are you doing that? And I made the mistake of telling them, and I got written up. So that's pretty much how it worked. But to be honest with you, I have always worked my entire, not even my adult life, like my tween life and beyond. I've always been working on websites and little things on the side. And I've always had a passion for technology. And, I used to build all these websites in like Dreamweaver, and
wow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember I've probably been through every single like website builder back in the day in the, 90s and early 2000s. But anyway, when I learned about outsourcing, I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like in my mind, there was like this, type of a moment. Like I could do anything that I want because I could hire somebody to help me do this stuff. I'm not limited anymore by my own like actual time and skill limitations. and thus was created my own kind of on the side agency, which I call VA Staffer. Ironically, was the name given to me by somebody who I didn't really, literally, somebody's like, hey, that's really cool what you're doing. Can you like help me get a VA? And I was like, yeah, I guess I could. I could help you get a VA. And he was like, cool. Well, I guess you could be like the VA staffer. And I went to GoDaddy. I Googled it. It was available, and I bought it.
That's awesome.
But that's it. Like, that's literally how all this began, was because I had this aha moment that I didn't want to do Gantt charts, mileage reporting, expenses, all this kind of stuff myself. I wanted to focus on the most kind of like, high skilled, what is the best use of my time, focusing on managing projects, ironically, as a project manager, right? And I just got really good at it. And then I kind of realized about 6 months later that I had a very unique skill set that I don't know. At that time, I didn't know anyone who was outsourcing. I literally didn't know anyone. And when I was trying to explain to people, it was mind-boggling to them, and I knew I was onto something.
So you had your job, you hired outsourced additional outsourced team members to help you complete projects. The higher ups caught on to it, asked you how you were being so uber productive. You were uber honest and told them exactly what happened. They wrote you up, and that was the end of the job. And you continued on. What was the next step? What did you have these outsourced team members doing once you left the job, or were you just solely focused on staffing VAs for people that needed them?
Yeah, in the beginning, I was doing the stuff that I could easily quantify and find people to do and train easily, which was social media. Social media, like one of the worst things that, like, literally Americans, not just Americans, I'd say the entire world is bad at social media. Now, do you know who Kim Garst is? She's actually spoken at a few of the places that you've been.
Yes, absolutely. That's my homegirl. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love her.
Okay. So Kim Garst always puts out, and I want to do a shout out to Kim Garst. She's awesome. If you guys don't know how to use social media the right way, she's the go-to. Matter of fact, I even use some of her freebie lead magnets as like actual training guides for some of my team.
Yeah, she's awesome.
They're that good. But Kim Garst, she's awesome. She actually wrote the foreword for my book that should be coming out this year. I've been putting it off for a year. But what's really interesting is that I just figured out a couple different strategies on social media, and I train virtual assistants to do. And you're ready for this? I was on Fiverr when Fiverr was still $5. Can you believe it?
Sure.
I actually didn't. I was selfish. I didn't actually think about doing it as a business. It was kind of a fun hobby for me. It did make me a little bit of money, but it wasn't like, I was a six-figure corporate project manager. I didn't need a job. I didn't need to make money. I was doing very well, and this was just really fun for me. And so what ended up happening was I had a couple people on the management side that was basically running my business. I was up to 12 people. Back in 2015. And I actually went all out on it before I had left my work, and actually leased out an office space in the Philippines because I landed a really cool client to help out as a $2 billion company. Next thing you know, I'm actually doing some really cool stuff with really big people, and my business is running itself. That's what's really cool. I was able to do my project management job, my career, and my other business was basically running itself. I might check in like 1 or 2 hours a day just to see how people are doing. And that's that. So I guess you could say the way it kind of transitioned was, I was kind of doing it as a quote unquote side hustle for a couple years, or maybe a year and a half, I guess, before I started realizing, what? I could actually make money at this, and probably more than what I made at my job. And I say probably because I didn't know, I had no idea. And when I left, my wife told me it was time, and they had made my job increasingly harder, and I was mentoring a bunch of people, and wasn't getting really rewarded for it. And basically my wife's like, man, you're so miserable at your job. Like, don't you want to do what you want to do? And I said, well, be careful what you wish for. And I had that conversation with my wife. I said, hey, look, you and I, we're probably going to make some drastic changes. I'm a 30-something-year-old man with a wife and a son, and we're probably going to have to move in with my grandparents or something, because I don't even know where I'm going next and what we're going to do. And we packed it up, went and moved my entire family to the Philippines for a month to establish my business, get it set up, hired an outside consultant to come in and help me systematize things. And actually my biggest thing was I didn't even know like how to really get results like from a business standpoint in the Philippines. There's so many different, the culture is so different. But yeah, I went all in. I literally just threw all my cards out on the table, flew to the Philippines and got established. And here I am. We're $500,000 now, officially a 2-year-old, I guess, company. And it's just growing, basically doubling every year since I left my corporate job in 2016.
So you have a team of virtual assistants that are available for hire for any type of business, small, medium, solopreneur, entrepreneur, etc. And they're available to handle things like social media management, online research, data entry, calendar management, etc.
Yeah, so we do. We're starting to move into more. It seems like most of our clients now, we're moving more into content marketing, doing a lot of social media calendars. It's easy for me to sell marketing because it directly affects the bottom line when you get more sales, right?
Right.
So I'd have to say marketing is probably the number one thing that we do.
And so what type of marketing stuff is involved with a virtual assistant? I mean, what could someone expect by hiring?
Yeah, I mean, setting up landing pages for offers and lead magnets, and connecting it to your like active campaign Infusionsoft or whatever, and and then of course traffic lead generation, which is like building a network on LinkedIn, creating content for social media. So as the king of outsourcing, my nickname, I don't discriminate on talent. So I have American people, I have Philippine people, I've got people in the UK, Australia, wherever. And what my goal is, like, for example, one of my clients, he's one of the faces of Entrepreneur Magazine, and he's releasing a book called Breakthrough. And it's a really, really awesome guy. And we're doing, 3 to 4 different posts a day on different Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, to promote the book. And it's like so easy to quantify, because people come to us and we take a screenshot of where they're at, and then obviously we can see drastic changes once we start doing content for them. So I believe that content marketing is the future, and I really believe that you probably know that since you used to work MC in some digital marketing stages. You've seen some crazy stuff. But more and more we're seeing the people that are being persistent, the people that are being persistent and consistent, and really driving great messages of value to their people. Like, those are the ones that are winning, right? Like the people that are very consistent putting out content stories. Look at Gary Vaynerchuk. Look at Grant Cardone. These guys are like masters of content. They've got so much content all the time, and that's where you win.
Yeah, content's awesome with unlimited funds. It's amazing. It's outstanding. It's outstanding. Now, Gary's a good friend of mine. I don't know Grant, but I know he's gone all in here, and he just, like, he constantly says, I'll never be able to spend all this money. So he's just he's just going all in with it. And again, if you make enough noise with content, people are going to listen. And at the same time,
I want to smack you in the face for a second. Is that okay? Can I do that for a second? Because I don't want your viewership to think that you need a lot of money to do great content, because you don't.
No, you don't. It's free.
I'll give you a hack that I use personally for myself and lots of my clients to create tons of content on a real good budget. One is record a video of yourself. If you really want to get the most out of it, do a Facebook Live. Do a Facebook Live video because first off, Facebook really promotes live video. It's a great format. It pushes it out. It's getting more and more visibility. You do a Facebook Live. Right before you do your Facebook Live, you put 4 or 5 different bullet points of what you're going to teach people, and you just go out there and you say, hey. So for example, over the weekend, I was on a BART ride. I was literally on a train in the Bay Area with one of my clients, and we went live on a train for 18 minutes. And we talked about coaches and the things that you have to think about before you hire a coach, and some things you need to do to qualify to make sure that somebody is worth spending your money on if they're a coach, right? Stuff that I wish I knew before I hired coaches in the past. And her being a coach, I guess, she calls herself kind of a consultant, not really coach. Coaches kind of have a bad name now.
Kinda.
Right? So we just did this video. What's cool is I get home and I tell one of my VAs, her name's Liz, shout out to Liz. I said, hey, listen, I just shot a 18-minute video on my Facebook. It's called Whatever Coaches. And I said, please, I want you to listen to this. I want you to make some bullet points out of it, some lessons learned. And then I want you to make it into a pretty little guide, downloadable sheet too. So now what's happened is not only do you have an awesome blog post, matter of fact, multiple blog posts, 18 minutes, guys, that's like 4 or 5 blogs. That's a lot of content. So not only are you going to have some really great content written up, but you're also going to have a little downloadable guide with here's the things that you need to look for before you hire a coach, kind of a checklist, and then download the checklist now. So what you've done now is you've turned your video audience. You can download that video, put it on YouTube or whatever. You can download that video. You can put it somewhere. You can put it on a landing page and say, download the checklist of 7 things you need to ask before hiring a coach. And then they click the button, they opt in for the thing, they get their 1-page checklist, and then you've got them on your list, right?
Right.
That's how you use content. The problem with content nowadays is people aren't using content the right way. Content should be used as value loss leaders. Value loss leaders. It's like putting the milk in the back of the Safeway, right? You put the milk in the back of the store because people got to go in and get milk. That's a desired thing that everybody wants to get. They usually put it as a loss leader.
Yeah,
they might not
it is.
milk.
Yeah, those fuckers do. Now that I think about it, yeah,
they do. They do because they're gonna put you through their little aisle maze to get to the milk and buy everything on the way there.
Oh, the whole store's a strategy. I mean, there's a whole science behind it. My daughter took a field trip there one time.
It's like a 1950s casino. You can't find the exit.
Well, if you're doing Vegas right on any given weekend or during the week, that could be a possibility too. So social media management, landing pages, lead generation, funnels, daily just to-do stuff that can be handed off. This is basically what your team is readily available to help out with, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Now, so I was watching a video while I wasn't watching a video, but I'm scrolling on the virtual assistants at VA staffer page.
Yeah.
And there's a video on here from one of your team members of we're tackling the biggest misconceptions in outsourcing. And we're not actors. So the authenticity of the post is obviously, I like this because this dives right in because people's biggest misconception. If I say, Jeff, what are you doing Tuesday night? I'm having a few people over at my house to talk about this new business that I've just got involved with. Your brain automatically goes to network marketing MLM, right? I think what happens when we think virtual assistants and outsourcing, we automatically relate back to an experience that we've had or we've been talked to about from a friend or someone close to us that we trust. And that is there's a language barrier. The time zones suck. I want to keep everything, in the U.S. Outsourcing a VA has never panned out where I've got someone actually thinking for me. How are you guys able, other than content like this, which I think is brilliant? I'm sure you did a lot with this video as well. Just like you said, you could turn that into a guide, top 5 reasons you don't need to believe what you've heard about outsourcing, right? But how are you able to combat this in addition to content? Because that would be my number one thing too. I've hired people overseas constantly, and I use people constantly for web design in India, and it's the time difference and the language barrier that are always the deal breakers.
You know what? The biggest and best way to combat it for me has been to just show my team. We're not the type of. I wanted to do things different. If you go to these other outsourcing companies, what you're going to see is your stereotypical like stock photo of some like Eastern European person wearing a pantsuit and a little, headset, something in her perfectly placed hair. And we're ready to answer your call. And it might as well have like a little effect with a smile where it's
right.
like,
yeah.
And what I like to do is I like to show my team, and I like to show them off because they're freaking awesome, and I recruit the best, like the video that you were just talking about.
There's a couple hotties in here. I know you're a married guy, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go to the Philippines with you next time.
The average age in the Philippines is young. I think 20s. I think the average age is like 23 or something in the Philippines, but.
Might be a little young, but we can work it out. Outsourcing the wifey. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I outsourced my need for a wife.
When we took my wife and son over there, it was hilarious because every day's an adventure. Even the things that Americans take advantage of, or they don't even take for granted, I should say, is like everyone in America has a car. Right. Or everyone in America at least knows somebody who has a car. And in the Philippines, most people don't have cars. They take these type of buses. They're called jeepneys, or they take a tricycle, like a trike, a little motorized bike with a cart on the side. And even Uber, Uber's not there anymore. It's another rideshare type thing, and it sucks. But going back to what you said, the misconceptions in outsourcing is like Rain, who is the person who is in that video you were looking at. It says where we're tackling one of the biggest misconceptions in outsourcing. Like, she was the very first virtual assistant to work at Shopify. It was their very first outsourced person. She grew their outsourced Shopify support from her to 200 before she got recruited to work for Google as a project coordinator. And then, she worked at Google for a while working on some different technologies for them, Google Suite. She was a support for Google Suite. But she's just incredible person. And she's just one story of the people that I have. People that they're just not run of the mill, right off the street people. These are people that, have already worked for Americans. These are people that are really excited and they want to do bigger things and they love working on an international level. Like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for talent that really wants to shine and be a part of an international agency. Most of them Filipinos, they love American culture as it is. I love the Filipino culture. My wife and I love it. The chicken adobo is to die for. It's really great. It tastes amazing. It's like kind of a barbecue type chicken. But anyway, I just feel like there's a really good blend between the American and the Filipino culture. And that's a really big part of why I do not all, but most of my outsourcing there. It's just because, they speak really great English. They have very similar cultural values. It's a majority, Catholic Christian community. It just works really well. There's just a lot of alignment with America.
Nice. Yeah, no, I dig it. We definitely. I mean, I like I said, I use freelancers for all my graphic design, for all of our podcast editing, for our clients, and then obviously day-to-day stuff and lead gen stuff, SEO stuff I've done in the past too. I've just been completely dissatisfied with all of it. And when we're dissatisfied with something and we don't know about a better solution, well, we just give up on it and shelf it until something, shows up. So yeah, you and I are definitely going to do some business together for sure. So you're solely focused on, you have a staff and then your staff is what handles your VA clients, correct?
Yeah, so I have something a little bit different than probably most outsourcing companies, because usually when you work with a VA company, they'll like pair you up with like your soulmate VA, or that's what they say, like you'll get a VA, like one person. So the way that VA staffer works is that we have basically a team, 50 plus VAs, and we have a project management team. Okay, I call them the project success team. And the project success team, these are the ones that, they know American marketing. They know the needs of businesses, and they actually work with my clients to strategize what they need to get done. And then they actually work with the other team members to delegate that out. So it's a really cool, unique thing. It's a little bit different. We have basically built-in project management. So when you come into us, we have some active collab software and other things like that, and they do kickoff calls. And my team's available. We have a project calendar that all of our clients can use, and basically get on a calendar during U.S. hours. Isn't that novel? During U.S. hours, to actually work on projects and come up with, what they're trying to accomplish during the U.S. hours. So it's pretty cool. I've got 7 people that work during the U.S. It's growing. And then those 7 people work with the other, 40 or so that rock and roll during the Philippine hours.
Let's talk about lead generation for a second here. I saw that on the site too. How does that work with a VA?
Man, lead generation is such a broad term. But data collection, that's the new agriculture. You think about in the 1970s, 1960s, it was all about agriculture at the time. Well, we're cultivating, but it's cultivating data. Right now, data is the new agriculture. So, we do a lot of prospecting for our clients, a lot of it on LinkedIn, where we'll go ahead and, connect to people, send them messages. We'll scrape data, grab their, email addresses and names, put them into CRMs, like your email management systems, and all sorts of stuff. But, really the truth is, with lead generation, there's just so many different ways to get clients. And, I guess I have the opposite problem as most, as my clients. I have no shortage of leads. But I know that that's still one of the biggest problems that people have right now, is just getting new clients. So we've moved into doing some SEO as well. SEO, even though I've been doing that forever obsessively, I've only really done it for myself and a few select clients, because it's like science, it's a lot of work for my brain. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to lead generation, finding new clients, that's bottom line. That's what you can use a VA to do. If all you did was had a VA and they just hand delivered you new prospects all day, which I do have, some of my clients, that's all they have my team do. It's super valuable.
Yeah, no, I have an immediate need for that. So yeah, that gets me really excited. Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you don't, then obviously you've arrived and you've made it.
You've arrived.
I ask myself that daily. I consider like taking the afternoon off, and I look at myself in the mirror and I go, "Have you arrived? I mean, have you made it?" Is the question. And if that answer is no, it's like, let's go back to that old, we used to have a old, back in the sales world, when I had a job like 15 years ago, it was called 5 at 5. That was 5 phone calls at 5 p.m. before you leave. And you do that every day. At the end of the week, you made 20 phone calls, and out of that, there's probably a deal or two. So back to the basics. I always tell myself, as an entrepreneur, I think a lot of entrepreneurs overlook this. And sales is in my blood. It's how I got my start. It's all I did. I didn't go to school. I just sold my way into entrepreneurship. Yay, lucky me. But the basics of sales, I always told myself, for the past 8 years I've had my company, if I treated my company like I treated a sales job, where the pressure was constantly on to stay on top, to win a bonus, to not get fired, to get the best leads, get special treatment. Like if I treated my business with all of that, but the pressure's not on, because you've got that flexibility as an entrepreneurship. So
that's why I have this on my desk, and I don't know. Hopefully you can hear this.
Love it. Yes, absolutely. Well, with that being said, we'll leave things on a good note right there. At cash register. I remember I used to have that as a every time I got a new email, when I used that thing called what was it called? Outlook. Yeah, Outlook. Every time an email would come in, I'm like, cha-ching. I'm like, that's a deal. So Well, Jeff, man, it's great to finally connect with you. Thanks for carving out some time today to come on the show and chat about the wonderful world of outsourcing. I learned a lot. I took a whole page of notes here, and my mind's just spinning here on some stuff. I'm pretty confident you and I can make some moves together.
Heck yeah. I love working with people. You know what? That's the one thing, if I had to say what my superpower is, it's just been really good at, finding win-wins. And, I think that's why outsourcing works so well, because we win here. We're obviously getting a great amount of work done that either we don't want to do or don't have time to do. Other people are winning because they're able to work at home in their pajamas instead of have to commute to work every day, and they can make more money. And of course, my clients win because I get to provide awesome value to them, and they don't have to worry about managing and babysitting a team. So win-win-win, baby.
Yeah, who doesn't love that? Hey, guys, check them out, vastaffer.com. More information on getting a virtual assistant and outsourcing some of the bullshit you do not want to deal with. I forgot who said it a long time ago, but if you hate doing something, but it must be done, find someone who loves doing it and get them on your team. That's what Jeff and his team at vastaffer.com can provide for you. Check Jeff out, too. His website is jeffjhunter.com. I always say JJ Hunter. It's like this show from the 80s, like the real, the guy with the car Kit. What was Knight Rider? Yeah, it's like Knight Rider. And then right after Knight Rider at 9 p.m. Tuesday night is JJ Hunter and his virtual assistants. Yeah, so I
am the Knight Rider.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, thanks again, man. And everybody tuning in here, make sure you check out vastaffer.com, connect with him online, explore opportunities, check out Jeff and follow him too. And hey, Jeff, come back soon to the show, will you?
Thank you, brother.
All right, man. Thank you. Hey friends, Sebastian again here. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. I really hope you're leaving this episode with knowing just one or two more things about the world of outsourcing that you didn't currently know. If you haven't done so already, make your way over to the iTunes store. Make sure that you're getting notifications by subscribing. Doesn't cost you anything. Subscribing to our podcast. That way you'll get a notification for every new episode that drops. All of Jeff's information will be in the show notes. Visit him over at vastaffer.com. We'll talk to you next time.